Yeah.
The Amber Show.
6:55. Welcome to the September 13th, 2021 regular meeting of the Lyman Board of Selectmen. This meeting is a public proceeding and is being recorded. The agenda is subject to change without notice. Would you join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to start out this meeting with read a document here from the Board of Selectmen that are sitting here. Good evening. On September 7th, we had a special town meeting to vote on several warrants that needed to be addressed after the annual town meeting this past June. There were several questions, concerns, and accusations made toward the select board actions and decisions. Tonight, we would like to clarify some of these questions, concerns, and accusations. First, to Dave Dulong and his concerns about the use of general funds for tax reduction. At the June town meeting, people voted against using $650,000 from the general fund surplus because they wanted the town to use more of the general funds to offset taxes. So that's what we did. We've had two meetings after the town meeting, and a group of concerned citizens voiced their opinions on how the general funds should be used. The discussions were lengthy and detailed, and what was presented at the September 7th meeting is how the town of Lyman residents came up with the amounts to apply towards taxes. To Jeff Demers, you accused the board that we were not doing our jobs in regards to the federal ARP funds, that's the COVID-19 funds. While Biddeford had already received their funds for this year, Lyman does not fit in the same category as Biddeford. We are a small town that has to wait to see what we will get. Numbers have been provided, but when there is a large range of figures, it does not seem wise to broadcast them until they are firmed up. Again, Mr. Demers is a former selectman and knows this process. The questions just cause confusion as we are not in the position to discuss them because the process is not complete. Mr. Demers, a former selectman, asked the question as to what the current mill rate is. He also knows that we are working on the commitment and also knows how the process works, and then we cannot state what the mill rate will be until all the work is completed. We do have an estimate of when this will be done. I spoke with Dave Sawyer today, and he indicated that he should be done with the commitment and the mill rate next week. So that's a real positive move forward.
Bill, who is Dave Sawyer?
He's our contract assessor.
I know that.
Yeah, that's been working for us for quite a while. On Article 4, there was the request to know the mill rate at the meeting cannot be done. The contracted tax assessor is working to put that together. The vote to approve the contract assessing amount of $91,442 is in process. This dollar amount covers the assessor for the current year, and he is working on generating the current year tax commitment. So that's why we can't give you a number till he finishes. Article 5, maintenance of the town hall. This will be put in the correct line item for next year. It has been in this line item for at least the last 5 years. This is the first year anybody said anything about it. Article 6, create funding for the Assistant Code Office. It was found and discussed by the interim CEO with his 40 years experience that the workload for the Codes Office was overwhelming. He suggested that an assistant position be created. So that's what we have done. We've created an assistant. In reference to which property tax assessment we are using to generate the tax bills is as follows. The current tax commitment is the 2019 and 2020. It's the same both years. That is the only thing the town has approved. The one generated by KRT was never accepted by the board. The contract assessor is working with all the numbers available to put together an acceptable commitment for 2021. He is working with all property owners to make sure everyone's assessment is correct. The assessor uses all this information that's available to generate the proper assessments. Now, Article 7. Dave Dulong was the vice chair when KRT was hired. K was hired for the revaluation. They were also hired to act as our assessor for the interim period, as we didn't have an assessor. Both contracts were eventually terminated. The selectmen found that KRT was not working with any new construction and that people that filed complaints were not being allowed to meet in person to have their situation looked at. So that cost, he said, our decision cost us $160,000, was predetermined when that company was hired. It's not an after the fact number, that's a before the fact number. Dave Dulong was also the employee liaison during the same period that the assessor resigned. The assessor resigned the day before we had a scheduled meeting with KRT, but he agreed to stay on for 2 weeks and longer to see the revaluation process through, but was unilaterally walked out of the town hall and told not to return. The LED sign that we've had discussions about. Since July 2020, we have been actively working to improve communication with the homeowners. We implemented the Zoom for YouTube to allow people to watch the meetings from home. Prior boards did not want this. That's why we didn't have it. New equipment is being purchased to improve the Zoom meeting so every speaker can be seen and heard clearly. These funds were approved by the June town meeting. The town hall sign is in need of replacement, and the board felt that an LED sign would help improve the communication. On the town website, we have a link, an icon that's called Ask My Gov. If you enter the keyword name, N-A-M-E, the program will ask you for your name, address, phone number, and email. That email is sent to the assessor to update the property records to accurately display this info. The town will be sending emails and text messages to inform homeowners of upcoming events. There are 2,840 parcels of property in town. We have approximately 300 email addresses. So we have a long way to go to improve the communications. That's all. Okay, do we have any public input? You can have up to 5 minutes to address the board. Yes, sir. Could you tell us your name?
My name is Sean McDonough. I live on Spikehorn Circle, and I was told to bring it to the board's attention. I am trying to start something where, typically, since I've lived in Lyman late 2014, I've tried to come in here Thanksgiving and Christmas and anonymously anywhere from 9 to 14 servings or meals during the holidays. And with COVID and everything else that's going on and the hoopla over the board and all that crap, I thought, wouldn't it be nice if we could just do it all the time? So I got with some people and I made the suggestion of just being able to, people that want to make meals, and then we will sign up, or we will get needy people and Patty in the office understands who is in need. They do the giving tree or whatever, and she said she would help organize it. No reflection on the town, no obligation on the town. We just want someplace to be able to bring it. So whoever needs it can anonymously come in without being shamed or anything like that. They just come pick it up. If they want to, we're also going to have the option, if they need and want it, we could also deliver it to their home. But we'd like the availability to bring it during normal working hours into the town hall so that they can pick it up and not have the interaction if they don't want it. And it was told to me that I needed to bring it to you guys' attention just to make sure that it would be, give us a thumbs up, since it would be crossing the threshold. Nobody here has to cook it, nobody has to heat it, nothing. We just drop it off at a given time, hopefully 20, 30 minutes prior to somebody's normal pickup time, and then they come in and pick it up. And what we're hoping to do is get people that are in need, long-term or even short-term, where depending on how many people we have cooking meals, we could once a week, twice a week, 5 times a week, doesn't matter, but we're gonna try.
I can ask a question. Where would people be cooking?
Our homes,
Your homes? Okay.
yeah. It's the same thing I
Just
do
looking
during
at
the
it.
holidays is I donate, when I had turkeys, I would butcher the turkeys or the geese, and then I would either cook them or I would give them to them raw, along with the cranberry sauce and stuffing and you name it. But if they wanted it cooked, I'd have it cooked, and I was meeting them out in the parking lot. Now I just thought that, you know, people are hungrier more than Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I figured I'd bring it up.
No liability, no work.
Really?
My only question, I think you answered, is no need for refrigeration, you know?
No, because again, we're looking at, 20 to 30 minutes tops to bring it here. Depending on the day, we're hoping to be able to drop it off a little bit beforehand.
Are you a nonprofit or do you just do this out of the?
I'm nothing, I'm just a resident.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
The only thing I could think of, just to ask to do is, could you put that on paper? So that we have something we can say yes, absolutely to?
Yes, I can, but I didn't want to waste my time on paper. If
Oh,
you
I
were
don't think
just
you're gonna
doing
waste
that.
your time at all.
No,
I
Okay,
don't think it's a waste.
okay,
We just, if it's on paper, then we can say, okay, this is what we did agree to do.
okay.
And then there's no ifs, well, you said this or you said that, here it is.
All right.
you know.
and also give
There's-
guidance to the employees here. So,
Yeah.
You know,
And there's going to be need for flexibility because the hours are different here during the day of the week. Like Wednesday, I think you open up at noontime or something like that. So we're going to have to work. The people in need are going to be needing to be more flexible, because if the drop off is going to be here, we're going to have to make sure that it's flexible that way. So
Yeah.
I'll write something up.
awesome.
If you don't mind, that would be great.
Okay, my 5 minutes done yet? The segue to Mr. Hatch's thing, trees, falling trees. I live on Spikehorn Circle. We have a lot of trees in the circle that have overhanging branches that are widowmakers. And we're just so happen in that area where a lot of us are clearing out trees, and we're looking up, it's like, well, that's eventually gonna fall down and hit somebody. I'd really like somebody to go out there and either take a look at it and remove some of the trees or get some of the limbs that are hanging out over the road.
I'll look at it tomorrow.
Look at that.
All right, so who do I get the paperwork to? I don't have to
Bring
wait.
bring
till the
it
next
to
one. Okay,
Donna,
okay.
Donna Richards.
And then do I have
First
to wait
office
another
on-
meeting to hear back, or we can kind of proceed with this?
Yeah,
I don't have an issue.
I don't have an issue.
Okay.
I
Do
just,
you want to make a motion? We'll just vote on
Pending.
it. Just pending the list.
Pending it coming in.
Yep.
In writing, I make a motion, we accommodate them then.
All right.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
4-0.
It'll
You
be
got it.
about a month anyway, because I want to make sure we you know, I don't want everybody cooking on one day. It's like crap, now this whole room's full of food, but we only have 2 people who want food on that day. So we're gonna assign people, like you can cook breakfast, you can cook dinner and whatever. So we'll figure that out.
Great, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes,
I have 2 things.
can you?
Oh, name's Leo Thibodeau. A month ago, we came to the board asking for help with the cemetery. I just wanted to know if there was any progress, or if you've spoken to your attorney. Have you spoken to any of the cemetery association?
We're talking about the Goodwinsville Cemetery over here. I spoke with Rick Hull, September 7th. And he said, yes, he was gonna be on it this last weekend. I'm just waiting to hear back.
Okay, because you're aware that he told us that he was gonna help us too, like back in June.
I realize. I realize.
Okay, as long as, I just want to keep moving.
We'll give him a Jimmy.
And did anybody happen to notice all of the trucks and trailers parked on the side of the road at Kennebunk Pond Saturday morning? Because the gate was locked?
Oh, is it?
It was.
Yeah.
Saturday morning at 7 o'clock, the gate was still locked. There was 5 trucks with trailers parked all the way down in front of Daigle's, all the way down the other side. What is it? Tuttle, not Tuttle Lane, Cuttle Lane. And then there was one on the other side of Cuttle Lane. I mean, 4 of them did move once the gate did get opened after 8 o'clock. I just think there's gonna be a lot of problem there. I mean, it's worked well for many years. I agree with putting a house there. I agree with charging non-residents to utilize it. But, you know, we're also gonna, you keep locking it up, we're gonna lose the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife and their stocking program.
When we don't lock it up, we get the phone calls because of the noise.
I understand that, but I think that's a police problem, not,
And who do you think's gonna solve that?
well, I think that if the town bitches at the state police enough, I think that they'll do something.
We can try.
I mean, I'm just saying that, I mean, it was
I
a
agree.
hazard there Saturday morning.
I agree. I understand.
And I don't think we should be putting no parking signs. I mean, they have a right to go fishing. It's a state-sponsored pond. I mean, I want to see people continue using it. They put some nice fish in there. It's fun to go there. Not that I fish there, but
Okay, well, thank you.
that's all
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, Jeff Duane.
Yes,
I'm wondering what's going on with the junkyard at Basswood Street.
that is coming up in this agenda. It's on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. We're into the mail section.
You gonna read any of that, Bill?
If you would like to read it, go right ahead. I need to get this so we can put it online.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
see that?
well, just kind
They
of
keep
brief,
it scanned for the minutes.
brief it. The first one here is from Maine Municipal Association. They're having their annual meeting, annual business meeting. It's going to be September 30th in person on the 2nd floor of Augusta Civic Center, as well as live streamed to the MMA website. Okay. Must be registration. Oh, that's in minutes from 2020. Oh, and registration. You want me to continue?
Yes.
Okey dokey. This is from the planning board to Donna, decision for an alternate member. Hello, Donna, please be advised, the select board, please advise the select board that the planning board considered the application of David Dulong for alternate member of the planning board at last night's meeting. It is the recommendation of the planning board that Mr. Dulong not join the planning board. The vote was 4-1 against him. Irene Single. Interim Planning Board Clerk. Daughters of the American Revolution. Enclosed is a Constitution Week proclamation. The Rebecca Emery chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution has requested Lyman's active participation in this year's celebration of our United States Constitution's 234th anniversary. The DAR is a nonprofit volunteer service organization. If you will date, sign, and have sealed the proclamation and display it at Town Hall, it will be our honor to include you in our yearly report provided to the National Society. We'd also like to honor each town that participates in signing the proclamation with a mention in our state DAR newsletter, in a newspaper article, and other publicity about Constitution Week. This year again, due to the restriction of COVID, I'm hoping that someone could take a photo of the displayed proclamation. And if you or any of the representatives of the town would like to be in the photo, wonderful. You can send the email to Catherine Fisher.
That's nice.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's a proclamation. Do we read that too?
There's your name on it, though.
Yeah, there's your name on it, Bill.
Really?
Yeah. I, William Single.
Really?
You better read it.
Yeah, it is.
Says, whereas September 17, 2021 marks the 234th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebration which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, William Single, by virtue of the authority vested in me as chairman of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Lyman in the state of Maine, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the farmers of the Constitution, the framers, I'm sorry, not farmers, the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town to be affixed this blank date of September of the year of our Lord 2021. That's pretty nice.
Mhm.
You want to take this one?
No.
Aye. I'm not reading the bylaws. All right, this is a town of Dayton to Dayton. Dear Dayton, this is August 23rd, 2021. Dear Dayton property owners, this letter is to inform you that Josh Waterhouse has submitted an application for a variance to the Zoning Board of Appeals regarding the property occupied by the Goodwins Mills Advent Christian Church on 503 Goodwins Mills Road, Dayton, Maine. Tax map 7, lot 10 and 10A. Josh Waterhouse is the contractor for the new residence currently under construction on the property. The variance application seeks to reduce the 150-foot setback from Swan Pond Creek to 75 feet. The site walk will be held at 503 Goodwins Mill Road at 6 p.m. on Thursday, September 16th, 2021. The public hearing will be held immediately after at Dayton Town Office. As an abutter, you are receiving this notice so that you may attend the site walk and public hearing if you wish. Copies of the variance application supporting documents are available at Dayton Town Office and may be viewed by the public during town office regular hours.
Is that the house with the foundation just went in?
Down here by the pond?
Yeah.
50 feet too close.
Oops.
Okay. What's surprising is that is Dayton. I didn't realize that right there.
In regards to the bylaws, I suggest that
Yeah.
for the next meeting, that you take the time to read through all this.
For the planning board.
So it's like, yeah, I'm not reading this. That's a lot. I'm tired. There.
It has a table of consanguinity.
Tell you what?
It has a table of consanguinity,
Ooh,
whatever that Degrees of relationships. Interesting. Okay, I don't see any new complaints. Nothing there. Okay, minutes of the August 16th, 2021 regular meeting.
And go to the second set of minutes, just ignore those. Because David brought to my attention, I have
The
two
August
sets.
30.
Yeah, but I have two sets of the same minutes.
Okay,
I
all right.
printed out the wrong one.
So the August 16th regular minutes.
Second.
Wasn't it?
He wasn't here. My second.
That's right, you second.
I was.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 3 with 1 abstention. Okay. Payroll warrant number 14 in the amount of $17,913.62. So moved.
Second.
Rusty seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? 4-0. Thank you. Payroll warrant number 15 in the amount of $417.29.
So moved.
I have 40909.
417. Back page.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's gonna be a catch. That's one of those things.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? 4-0. Accounts payable warrant number 16 for fiscal year 2022 in the amount of $73,876.40.
Well, I have one question.
Yes.
Check 8356, 3330.
Yeah.
Mr. Bean.
Yep.
Was that a part of paying up for last year's contract? It says service. Services,
There's
operation.
$1,260, which is contractual services. That's a monthly fee for all the equipment. And we have hourly services of $1,035. And a second invoice for hourly services for $1,035. So there's $1,260 is a monthly cost. Then the other two are for other things. As part of that, for the work that we were picking from the FOIA request.
Oh, probably.
So can I make a
That's
suggestion?
from that.
I think it is. There's a chunk of it in there for that.
When that gets, before that gets requested and we are applied the burden, is the person looking for the information that should be paying that, have they paid that?
No.
So then why do we move forward and accept that burden without payment.
That was directed to go forward by the town attorney without having the payment.
How do you budget for something like that?
You can't.
All I got.
But many discussions.
Yep.
I lost. We can talk about it again, but yeah.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, sure.
That when we have something like this, because I brought it up in one of the last meetings, it was 6,000 or something. And I don't mean to be, zeroing in on being dated, but it seems like every time, we do this.
Well, one of the
we flag
big
it.
issues that we have, by state law, we can only charge $15 an hour for that work.
For the FOIAs.
Yes.
Yes, but I think what we should
Whether
do.
it's, whether it's a town employee or a subcontractor.
Correct.
Okay,
That's where we got, we were
Oh,
really up against the wall.
trust me. So I think in full transparency, that when we get above that 1260, our contractual, I think we should, especially in this particular case, because we know why these are jumping up as high as they are, we should be able to look and see what the detail is on that and let people know, because when it comes time for that item on the budget and they see how it's been blown
Yeah.
out of proportion, at least we can verbalize,
Yeah.
justify it, and say, well, we've had $2,000
I-
to $3,000
I believe we
worth
are
of-
keeping track of that.
Yep.
It's a separate thing, but we're keeping
Yep.
track of it.
but I think we should know.
Okay.
That'd be helpful, please.
Bill, can I ask a question?
Sure.
At a previous meeting, you had said that you were going to give Dave, the contract of Bean Data that was signed so that he would know what's contractual and what's not. Did you ever get that to him?
Well, the only way I know what's contractual and what's not is what it says in the ledger here, as to what the billing items were, whether they were contractual or not.
Okay. I was just wondering, because it seems like to be the only thing that ever gets questioned is the, computer stuff.
Well, I understand that. And this year has been really different because we found that what we had for networking and computers was totally inadequate for where we were. And to move forward to get to where we need to be has been a tough road to go, and it's not cheap. And I think we're all learning that. Fortunately, I think we're learning it, at least not being the victims. We're at least one step ahead of that. I hope we're the one. Okay, so do we have a motion on that? Or we did? Or did we? I can't remember.
I don't. What were we in discussion?
$73,876.40 for accounts payable
No.
warrant number 6.
Motion. Donna says no motion's been made.
That's what I'm
You just
that's
made
what I'm
so
saying. So we have one
Okay, now, second.
and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? 4-0. Thank you. Ah, Now we're down to you. 12 Basswood. We have some pictures here that I want to pass down the line. We have to share.
Don't forget to send the warrants down also,
They're right here.
please.
Patty, would you like to speak?
Those pictures were taken 2 weeks ago. There's much improvement at that project. And I want the board to look at it to see if you feel it's improved enough to cancel going forward, or if you still want to go forward.
That's the way to
And can I add, if we decide we're not going to court, can we send a letter if we go that way? That says, because we went through this 2 years in a row, it got cleaned up a little bit, then we backed off, then this year again. Can we say, we're not going through this whole 6-month period? If they stop bringing junk in again, we're just gonna go, we'll give them 2 weeks, and if they don't clean it up, we're going to court. I don't want this to come up every year for us to be struggling with this.
What are the hanging tops?
He's hiding the junk. We hung up top, so now you can't see it. Which looks awesome in itself.
Is that any form of fencing? That's,
We don't regulate fencing.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one right there, right behind camper. Like it's underneath there.
If I can speak, when I read the letter from the lawyer, the guy's been told 6 times between letters and telephone calls and conversation. The lawyer sends him a letter, says, you got till the 23rd, it's very detailed. 23rd is a long time gone. The kid is not gonna do it. In my opinion, he's gonna hang up a top instead. Now you can't see my junk.
I personally don't think it's fair that you can hang up the top and hide my junk.
That's the first impression before he even said it. That was my first impression, is tarps are hiding something, but they're not even visible the
Well,
property.
I think there's pictures from behind the towers, because he allowed me to walk wherever I
Yeah,
wanted to go.
there is. There is. There's also a bunch of broken down fence in a
Yeah.
pile.
If the lawyer tells me, do this by this date or else, it's a deadline, and he didn't comply. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
What is that structure there, Patty? It looks like some sort of shed.
It's the
On
makeshift
wheels?
shed in the lawyer's letter.
Yeah,
That was to be removed.
it's a trailer with like a little shed on it that he keeps his tools in. He did let me look in there too.
No permit necessary. It's on wheels. Movable.
I mean, when people have a box truck that they buy or a trailer that's covered over, that they move their tools around in, they don't get permits for that. It's not registered, I don't think. Well, I didn't look for that, so I shouldn't say that. I didn't look.
How many unregistered vehicles can you have on a piece of property?
Two, the third becomes illegal.
So is there a car underneath that tarp that's unregistered, which would make a third, potentially fourth registry issue?
Yep.
So what do you think?
I think he has a registry issue. Looks like the fence debris should still be cleaned up. I don't know if we have the power to say anything about the tarps. But, I don't know if it's in the ordinance anywhere, or, and that's just, it's not a good look. Not really fair to another taxpayer.
And I'm right across the street, and again, he's been told 6 times before the letter from the lawyer, he's not gonna do it.
What do you
From the
recommend?
town attorney?
Yep.
Wow, yeah. And when was he supposed to have that cleaned up?
23rd.
Yep.
23rd of what?
last month.
August.
Do you have a recommendation, Patty?
I'd rather have you guys decide without me saying one way or the other.
Okay, I guess, I don't have the letter in front of me, so what's the course of action? Take him to court?
Yeah, so
And
if he
get
didn't
a-
have it cleaned up, we would take him to court and get a judge to hopefully give us, they'll give them time to clean it up again. And if they don't clean it up within that time, they'll authorize us to go in and clean it up at our expense, and then we lien their property for that expense.
What about a court expense?
We would ask probably for attorney fees to be reimbursed.
Chances of seeing that?
Well, that's, here or there, we need to get a remedy. He's been here
I don't know.
a lot.
It's been going on 2 years.
Looking for a motion on this.
Yeah, I'm open to ideas. I mean, what you guys want to do?
I think we're out of ideas. We're just either, we push it on to the courts, or I'll say, live with it. I'm not okay with living with it.
Can I, so the last thing we took to court, violation we took to court that needed to go back multiple times was $11,000 in attorney fees, which we finally got back, but it took us 7 years. When the property sold, we got it back. Just so you have that piece of information.
Is that all worth $11,000?
We got it back.
Yeah, but I'm
But-
saying is that police worth $11,000?
Oh,
I
that,
don't-
yeah.
I know what you're saying, but I don't think that's the point.
No, I hear what
You
you're saying.
know,
And
We
that,
were curious.
maybe the person violating, that might be information better for them. Incentive to clean it up.
You know, I pay taxes, I follow all the rules, I live right across the street, I keep my property nice and clean. This is where I wake up every morning. It's been going on again for 2 years. He's not gonna,
What was the motion?
well, I'll make a motion to either proceed with the legal aspect violation, or you can make a motion to do several interim step, which we've done over and over, so.
I think we can beat that bush to the ground, being nice. I think we should move forward.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Then
Then we move forward. Yeah.
Okay. Second on the motion? All right.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, give it a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? 4-0. Okay.
what are we in favor of? Are we going to court?
We are going to start legal action.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming in and being reasonable.
Appreciate your patience.
Week
Yeah.
after week. Yeah.
Okay. Storage for town hall. Any updates?
What'd you just say?
Storage for the town hall,
Storage.
where we can, what we can do to store supplies, equipment.
That's not the way that was supposed to go.
No?
We were supposed to identify, or each person was supposed to identify what they could get rid of. And we were gonna purge first.
What are you looking at me? But if you want me to come in and clean out, I'll help
I
you.
thought the same thing when he looked over.
I think what you're gonna get for an answer is, other than a few items, most everything needs to stay.
Yep.
That's what you're gonna get for an answer, because a lot of it is records.
You were gonna look into digitizing it, remember, Dave? Yeah.
Yeah. Did we?
We have not.
No. It's
There has been some discussion with a couple of the vendors, like the copy machine company, to bring us forth some information, because they do a lot of that. But that's as far as we've gotten.
So in other words, we're tabling it.
Yeah, I guess
It's
so.
not much of an update. Table.
Okay.
SNPBC.
Oh, that's the Zoom regulations.
You you were supposed to talk to Brad, see what other towns did. Because
Yeah,
there was some,
that's been forwarded to him,
to him,
Brad. What the attorney,
Yeah.
town attorney.
but we haven't received anything, yeah, because there's verbiage in here that is concerning, their template.
Does MMA have a proposed draft?
That's
Is that
here.
what that
Well,
is?
they do, but there was some concern about a couple areas of that. So if you could let me know what the areas of concern are, I'll make sure I forward that to Brad to look at.
Right,
Okay, it doesn't have to be today, tomorrow's fine, before you go to work, you know?
sure. Well,
So, okay. I want to skip over one item for a second. Oscar Littlefield Road. Everything's been given to the town attorney. We haven't got anything back from him. Okay, we've got the survey maps he's got now. We have Google Maps. We have town tax maps. He's got all of them, and he's even got them overlaid on each other so he can see what's there. And he's supposed to put together a generic easement so that we can get everybody on the road to sign off on the easement. And then whoever refuses to do that, we'll deal with that. So that's what I'm waiting on. Haven't heard anything back.
Bob Schultz, about 4 years ago, Patty went through this, a similar process. I tried to help her out to the extent that I could, and it may save the town some money. If your current lawyer has some questions, Patty, I know has a file, I believe still has a file.
Would we have those documents?
They probably were in the road stuff in what that Nancy had. We had put all the road stuff in one place, so.
Okay. Is that something we can find to give to Brad? Jog his memory?
Anyway, addresses of the, there's maybe.
I think he's got all the addresses. I think we have everybody's address now, and those survey maps were really important. And so, I mean, we've got to be careful how we do that because the actual road is not the deeded right of way for a chunk of it. So we have to deal with that. And we want to do it right. It's got to be right so there's no repercussions. So I'm hoping by our next meeting, we'll have something to go forward with. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. So now we can go back. We have the outcome of the special town meeting where the town meeting voted to take $700,000 from surplus of the general fund and $300,000 from excise. So that would be $1 million. And we had talked about using $1.5 million. So we can take additional funds from excise to make up that $500,000. And we will still have above and beyond the $2 million for the 3-month fund. We will have about, and this is an about figure, about 800,000 beyond that. So we won't be broke.
So we're gonna be able to apply 1.5
1.5.
and still have 8
Correct,
and still have the 3 months.
correct. That is correct.
That worked out well.
So far. So we need to make a motion and vote on that because we can take the money from excise. The original part was 650,000 from the general fund and 720 from excise, which was voted down because they wanted more money to go towards taxes. So they voted for 700,000 from the general fund and 300,000 from excise. So we can take additional, because of the vote, we can take additional funds from either. But the easiest one to deal with is the excise because we don't need town meeting approval for that.
So a concern came up whether or not that was legal.
Correct.
And
And we had already had an answer from the town attorney on that status. And that the excise tax was in control of the Board of Selectmen. The general fund is in control of the town meeting.
so there's nothing illegal.
Correct. Correct.
Did he put that in writing?
Yes. Yes, he did. It wasn't an email, but yes.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion to basically reduce people's taxes.
We need to appropriate not appropriate, we need to take from excise $500,000 to go with what they voted on.
So moved.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? 4-0. Thank you. Question came up about cameras at the transfer station. They had an accident there a couple weeks ago where somebody got out of their truck and didn't put it in park. And it rolled back and hit the backhoe, town's backhoe. We've had it inspected, insurance companies looked at it, said there's really no damage. Well, the guy's truck had a lot of damage, but nothing to the town equipment. And the question came up, what about the cameras at the transfer station? The system we have up there now was put in by our old IT guy. We had 11 cameras. One was working, and now none of them work. So we just got to decide what to do from there. I haven't pushed it forward to do much because we have a couple discussions to have about the funding from Spectrum that we can deal with, and tying the town buildings together as a network so that we don't have to have equipment at the transfer station, equipment at the beach. Equipment can be here and just the camera is there. So we need to put that together. And that's why I haven't pushed to go ahead and do anything with this till we had a chance to talk it over.
How long will that take?
Well, a lot of it depends on Spectrum. A lot of it depends on what we decide to do to cover the cost of it. But we do have money appropriated in the current budget to deal with some of it, which we can deal with right off.
And we have cameras at Kennybunk, Long Beach also.
We are going to, because we're going to have to tie that in. Brad's in the process of getting a pole to put up at the entrance so that we can get the power across and cable. And then once we get that in there with the building, we can put the cameras in there.
So will that equipment tie in with?
Yes, it'll all tie together, yes. Yeah.
I think we should get some proposals from 3 companies. It's not gonna be cheap.
Well, actually, because of the way our new network works here, it's not all that expensive other than putting the cameras in once we are physically connected through Spectrum. So the big issue is Spectrum, to get that together and make sure that's operational, because the current network equipment we have will support cameras remotely, automatically. So you're talking $200 or $300 for a camera each. But then that all ties into here.
Sure.
So that alleviates somebody breaking in down there and smashing the equipment because they don't want to record it that they're breaking into the place. It's too late. We have, I guess, for the transfer station, we had budgeted 4 cameras, $3,000. We should easily do. Brad's working to identify getting electricity to all the buildings at the transfer station. And at the same time that they put the conduit in for that, they're going to put conduit in for the network so that we can have cable. We'll be able to do the salt shed, be able to have cameras there, and tie those all in together. So we're going to do this once. Is what the goal is.
You're saying Brad's kind of leading this?
Well, he's
Never.
leading part of it.
Some of it.
Some of it.
Another big issue up there, just so you'll be aware, is we need lighting very badly.
Yes.
Yeah, but
That
that's,
place is so poorly lit that it is a huge problem.
that's the reason for the electricity, getting it out to all the buildings so that we can improve the lighting.
So we're still months away from it.
Well, I don't know if you've been up there lately, but if you look at the office, I guess you could call it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I hear you. I think it needs to be done. What I'm saying is it's still a couple months up.
I would say for part of that, probably a month, we could have something in place for there. The beach is months out because we got to get Spectrum to run cable. I think it's 2,000 feet up the road, and they're going to want us to pay for it. So that's what we have to talk about is the Spectrum contract on the funds that the court has ruled we can charge the homeowners anywhere from 1% to 5% of their monthly bill that we would get back to put into infrastructure or whatever we want to use it for cable in the town or the connectivity. So we need to talk about that.
Did Spectrum tell you, Bill, if the homeowner's bill is gonna go up that 1 or 5%?
Yes, it will. Absolutely will. So again, that's an option that we have. And, do we want 1%? Do we want 5%? Is 1% plenty? That's what we need to talk about because we don't want to be a total negative impact on the homeowner.
Well, you don't know what 1% of what?
Right.
5% of what?
I can tell
They have to give
you
you those numbers.
from what we were told. I hate giving these numbers out. Over 15 years, 5% would give us $4.5 million based on the current customer base. That's $300,000 a year.
Seems a little excessive.
That's at 5%. So, we can pick where we want to go. Yes,
Are you talking 5% of Spectrum's bill to me?
yes,
Okay. Right now, I just have internet, and that's $80 a month.
yep. So
So it's gonna go up $84.
$4 a month, you would see, if it was 5%. We have to talk about it. This is something new that's come out,
What I'd like to see, because we're gonna have to talk about it, is a plan on each location and how many cameras and what infrastructure poles that he has to put in, what's the scope, what's the plan as we move forward.
I've got a lighting proposal coming, Tom, and within that site work, so to speak, the extra conduit will be run in the same trench to all those buildings at the same time. That'll handle the cameras. So that'll kind of be covered, piggyback into that same cost of lighting to get the power to those buildings.
Yeah.
So at least that'll help.
So,
That's what you're saying.
yeah, so for pipe, we're probably talking $300 or $400 a pipe.
But we're just,
But then
you
everything
get the
goes.
transfer station, you get the beach, you get the ball fields.
Yeah.
you-
You got the Kennybunk Beach.
On Wi-Fi, you can't do anything like that for this.
What's that?
You can look at your cameras at your house on Wi-Fi,
Yes, you can.
so
Can.
why do you need to run 2,000 feet of cable?
Well, your Wi-Fi is 1/10 the speed of a network connection. So you're working at 10% instead of 100% all the time.
I mean,
Big difference.
so the picture's a little slower, right? It's a little choppier,
Yeah.
but it'll still do the same thing.
Yeah.
Costs a whole lot less
We
money.
currently have a Wi-Fi system up there. Doesn't work. Yes,
The number one reason is you've got to get power to the camera.
power over Ethernet.
Pardon?
Power over Ethernet.
No.
So the power comes out with the cable that goes with the camera.
But that's the limiting thing. You've got to get power out there. You're not going to run the cameras on batteries.
No, but there doesn't need to be an outlet by the camera either.
No.
just because the network cable provides the power.
Run DC on the.
Right, that's right.
Does that program handle, you know, like, I don't know, the roads in town that may not have access to cable?
So does what handle?
The program from Spectrum handle, you know, roads in town that may not have access to cable?
I think he's asking, we should use that money towards.
We can use that to put that infrastructure in,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. You can use that to pay for it.
That's a perfect.
Because Spectrum is saying, take for instance, Rockford, where the town beach is. It's 2,000 feet plus to the nearest cable hookup. And they're saying there's not enough houses to justify putting the cable in. Well, we would rather have it than not, you know, so if we got, for instance, say we got 2% back, maybe that can pay for that and put it in. And we may have some other roads that don't have it and we can put it in. So we can use it for that stuff. They don't want to invest in it. Because there's not enough return.
Worth looking at.
Oh, I agree. I think it's worth it, but to me, it's a lot of discussion.
Yep.
You know? Okay.
Is there any competition with Spectrum?
Spectrum.
So there ain't any?
Mm-mm.
They should call it
Direct
true
TV.
monopoly.
Well, I didn't know if like Comcast or something like that.
I think you probably find they own Spectrum.
They do own
Really?
Yes.
This Spectrum really sucks.
them. Well, they have a monopoly, see? So if you don't want cable, then don't use it. You get dish. Not really any other option. That's the whole thing. They don't, you know?
Consolidated.
Do you have that? letter
Change their name
from the
again. It was Time Warner. Everybody knew it.
I typed
They changed it to Spectrum.
But then
Everybody
I
knows it.
replied, so-
Okay, we'll talk about it. All right. Okay, we want to do department and committee reports, and we'll start with Patty.
So I'm gonna give a brief report of, from July 26th to September 8th. We've collected $30,004.25 in permit fees, and that's for 60 various types of permits. I have a complaint I'm working on about chickens and a rooster in the residential zone. Roosters are not allowed, so we're working on that. I have a complaint about a possible septic malfunction on Wadley Pond Road that was called in today by DEP, which I'm investigating. I had ongoing the 12 Basswood Street, but we've taken some action on that. There's a wetland filling that happened last fall that, we were waiting for DEP and the Army Corps to help investigate because they're involved also. But waiting for the homeowner to hire or get their site evaluator to go out and do a wetland delineation. So we're still working on that. And I have questions of the board. There's an ongoing complaint that DEP has gotten involved with on Wadley Pond Road that an attorney contacted our attorney directly. Do I need authorization from the board I think it's gonna come to this board, maybe at the next meeting, but do I have authorization to talk to the town attorney about that, where they went straight to the town attorney with that complaint? I forwarded it to everybody last week.
Yeah.
Was it last week?
I'm familiar with it. What are your guys' thoughts?
I don't have express authority to contact the town attorney unless I get it from the board. So that's kind of what I'm asking for. I think we may be talking about it at the next, I'm gonna ask for it to an executive session with the town attorney at the next selectment meeting.
Yeah.
But I don't want to I don't want to talk to the town attorney about this unless I have permission. because
Well, I
I'll be-
understand.
If the town attorney calls and asks Patty questions, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't talk to him. Do you guys agree?
No,
No.
she's the head of the
Yeah,
department.
You're
so if he initiates, that should be fine. Does that make sense?
Yes, the other attorney for the people filing the complaint initiated it. But I think he may be reaching out, our attorney may be reaching out to you guys to set up a meeting or something, based on what DEP emailed today, which I did forward it to you this afternoon, but you probably haven't seen it.
But now that their attorney reached out to the town attorney, I don't believe you should be talking to that attorney.
I never do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a standard operating procedure for me. Once the word attorney gets brought up, I stop talking. Well,
That's right.
everything
That's
you
good.
say can and will be used against you, right? So
Mum's the word.
I let the attorney talk after that. 12 Basswood was one of my questions. So while I was out, the state of Maine adopted a new insulation code, 2015 IECC, which they said was effective July 1st, but that we had 30 days to implement it. And for a builder to comply with this energy code, we have to build a 2x8 wall framing construction now, or a 2x6 wall with 2 inches of insulation board on the outside of the wall, which is gonna cost a lot more money for people. So in there telling us that we have to do this, well, they adopted the new code and that we have to, it's effective July 1st. At the bottom, there's a statement that says, permit administration is determined at the local level. This guide that they gave us for July 1st and 30 days provides a timeline as a guide only to aid in a reasonable transition to a code change. We don't have the code book. They haven't provided us with a code book. We could buy one, but the state said they're gonna buy one and wait. I haven't had a training on this insulation code, and I know of one city and one larger town that is not enforcing it right now indefinitely. I kind of feel like people in the last year construction costs have gone up just because of COVID. Materials have been hard to get. Projects have been put on hold, and this is only gonna put another burden on construction. I don't wanna enforce it, but I don't wanna make that decision on my own. I want to bring it to you and see if you agree with that.
So it's
Can the
not,
town opt out?
I don't know if we can opt out, but we can extend the transition period longer. I honestly think contractors are gonna try to go to the legislature and get this.
It's
Because we have to bring in mechanical ventilation now. We're making the house so tight that now we're gonna have to bring in fresh air mechanically.
but it's not fire safety, it's not electrical safety,
it's insulation.
it's just insulation.
The town of Cornish has no insulation codes.
They're underneath the population where they don't have to enforce.
Is that what it, okay, all
Yeah,
right.
but we are over that. So we do, people are supposed to build to it, whether we enforce it or not.
So what happens if an existing homeowner is putting on a decent size great addition? Do they have to comply to that?
Yes,
So how do you get the R value throughout the whole envelope?
you only have, so, but the other thing with this code change is that people have to do a blower door test at the end before they get their final.
That's outrageous.
So you get it all done, and it doesn't pass, you gotta tear it apart.
They seal up the house and they mechanically make a vacuum and see if you have any air leaks. And if you have an air leak, then you have to find it after the house is all done.
They implode the house, basically.
Putting an addition on.
I don't know how that would
They
work.
close the room off is what they're
Yeah,
supposed
they'd
to
have to
Yes,
seal
they
it
are,
off.
separated.
They
But
know
they
that
don't.
radon is a big thing in Maine, right?
That's,
Ah, it's good.
Mechanical
Make the house
ventilation.
Tighter then, right?
so I
All go
kind
down.
of want to hold off on implementing.
I agree with that.
So just keep us
Say
updated.
not over.
Well, I really want to vote, I don't want to,
I make a motion that we indefinitely hold, on,
Postpone the next one.
yes,
I knew that's what you were gonna say.
thank you.
Second. Okay, all those in favor? What is it?
Huge, huge change.
That's a big burden on a homeowner.
Not Home Depot. Well,
No. it's
Truss
windfall.
truss cords or 4 inches thicker now. You know, got a built-up truss now.
Right.
You can have more insulation in the
Did you
ceiling.
have
Yep.
Go
So
ahead.
now your soffits are worse, you know?
so currently we have a home occupation permit fee of $35. I want to know if we can increase that to $250. And the Board of Selectmen sets the fees. Should have started with that sentence first.
So why?
Well, to do a home occupation application and inspection, and sometimes an electric inspection, sometimes, depending on what the home occupation is, the fire department goes out. $35 doesn't cost, it doesn't even pay for me to review the application, let alone do the inspections. And the taxpayers shouldn't be burdened with paying that time for us to take to do those inspections.
And you recommend $250? I'll make a motion.
Also,
Second, okay, all those in favor? 4-0, okay.
go Patty.
Well,
It
things
needed
should pay for
adjustment.
themselves,
I
right?
agree, 100%.
On that line of thinking, right now for medical marijuana home occupations, which is one caregiver only, the fee for that is $150. And that should be even more than the $250, I think. Because of the amount of time it takes for Marcel to go out, myself to go out, again, sometimes the fire department. And I'm gonna ask somehow that we do some type of revenue sharing with the fire department when they go on inspections. They go on finals for businesses and they go on, a lot of these grows they go on.
Is that, are you looking for a one-time or yearly?
So a one-time application fee, and also, my next question is, there's an annual inspection requirement. And right now, we don't have a fee for that, and we have a couple that are going into their first year, getting ready for an inspection, and we need a fee, we need to establish a fee for that.
Is the inspection burden the same the first time as it is the second time?
The first time is probably more because there's a lot of back and forth with the application, a lot. It's pretty time consuming. And then Marcel spends a significant amount of time with the inspections. Because some of the people that we're finding have already got set up and they need to fix some things. So he's going out there multiple times.
Is that for the marijuana caregiver?
Yes,
Okay, and what's the current, there is no current fee
right. And I
for the
think
inspection?
a caregiver and a production facility should be two separate inspection fees. Because a production facility, that could be a lot bigger of a building and take a lot more time to inspect.
So you're just talking indoor grows?
Yes, outdoor grows are easy to inspect.
Well, I don't know, I'm
Oh,
asking.
yes, indoor, yeah. That's where Marcel comes in with the electric inspections.
Do you have a recommendation for what that would be?
I threw out, 500 for the caregiver grow initial permit. What did I write down? Annual inspection fee, I don't think should be less than $250 for a home caregiver, and it shouldn't be less than 500 for a production facility. And I did not do any research on other towns' inspection fees, but other towns do have a licensing fee, which is, we don't have, and some of them are 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. initial licensing fee and an annual licensing fee, which we don't have. But we shouldn't be spending our time doing inspections and the taxpayers are paying for our time to do that when we're doing it for them. Sometimes it takes multiple times to go out. We have time to think about it and come back.
I was gonna suggest, can you put that on paper for that particular categories, those 3 or 4 categories there? So we can actually look at it, like for the next meeting maybe? Does that sound reasonable to you guys?
One last question.
Yeah, go for it.
A few years ago, we changed the planning board fee from 500 to 300. When we charged 500, we kept track of the planning board time on that application, all the mailings, all the public hearing notices, and then we reimbursed the applicant typically about $200, which is time consuming for the people doing all that research. We just charge a straight $300 fee and nobody gets any money back. If it costs more money than 300, we have it in our ordinance to charge them the additional money to keep going. But I think we should do that for the zoning board of appeals application also. Just charge a flat $300 fee instead of 500, tracking all the, every mailing and then sending them back $200 or more. It's a waste of our time and it's holding on to somebody's $500 or $200 and then sending it back a month later when it gets into our.
So you're recommending that both the planning board fee and the zoning board fee would be $300, not refundable. But if the expense goes over that, you can bill them the difference.
And I didn't think of it back when we did the planning board because we wasn't doing a lot of zoning board meetings, but if we're doing it for one, we should do the same for the other.
Are they still considering asking for their own counsel?
I don't know. The planning board?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that should be worked into the fee structure.
So there is a mechanism in our ordinance, if we have to consult with the town attorney or any engineer, that the applicant would reimburse us for that. But there are times when we have questions on processes that don't really apply, or maybe ordinance adoption or something like that.
Any motions?
It saves us a lot of administration time.
Doing
It
this
saves a
all
lot of time for us if we drop it to
next week.
300.
Is that what you got to do? Do it for the
Yeah,
next
put
meeting?
it all in writing, we'll do it all at once.
Okay.
So
Is that all
at
right?
least it is something to look at.
I mean, do you have that last part you just mentioned right there?
The 300 from
Yep.
500, yep.
I mean, that's.
Okay, I'll make a
As a
motion.
matter of fact,
We'll move that forward.
Also good.
All those in favor? 4-0. Approved.
Maybe we should put that in there.
Who seconded that?
Yeah. Do you have any more?
Nope, so the only thing I'm coming back with is the recommendations on,
Marijuana?
Yeah.
Correct. And production facilities?
and the annual inspection.
Yes.
Okay.
Interesting to see what other towns did.
So I was just gonna ask, is it possible for you to have some numbers from other towns? Like, does their annual licensing fee that they have, do they still charge an inspection fee?
Yeah, I'll
Or
check on that.
Right, one or the other.
Are we,
Difference at that one.
Uh-oh. There's a little bit in.
Let's talk fast.
Let's talk fast.
wrap it up.
Here.
Just let me get caught up there. You
Oh,
all set?
right.
All right.
There we go.
Okay,
It wasn't in the box, so I didn't.
are you all set, Danny? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Hey, is she leaving? Are you leaving?
The meeting?
Okay.
Depends.
No.
Because I have a question. Actually, it's a complaint.
Well, I'm leaving at some point.
Well, if you stay, and then I'll wait.
Okay,
So, I'm sorry, do you want to handle that now or?
No.
Okay.
okay.
So is that something you can come talk to her during the day, Rio?
I could, I just keep forgetting.
They get used to it.
I know.
Yeah, really, join the crowd.
So, before we go on, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we have our weekly expense summary report provided by the treasurer, which comes out every week, tells us how much we spent, how much is left, what percentage we're at, so we know where we stand.
Is this the report that has been asked to be posted on the bulletin board?
No,
There's one that has been
that
asked.
it's got to do with when we approve to pay bills, what bills get approved and how much.
Okay,
Okay. Before we go to the last part of what we have, Brad, I have paving spec bid form here. Can you fill us in?
Yeah, you should all have that, those 3 pages of the RFPs for you to go over. Lay your eyes on and approve it so we can get that advertised.
What roads are these for?
Space two.
It's going to be for Roof Lane, 2 sections of Williams Road and Causeway.
That's the, yeah, the dip too. Is that including the dip?
Oh, and Clark Woods Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the end, yeah. Yeah, I don't have to put that up to bid though. I already have that taken care of.
That was it.
It's Greek to me. Totally Greek.
Well written.
I think this, yeah.
Marie do it?
Huh?
Marie do it?
No, for once.
Figure out what he said.
So we just need to prove this to go out to bid. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, well, to get it printed, get it out, advertised, and then decide where you want to advertise it.
Where would you recommend?
Well,
we
Jennifer
advertise?
Journal's out of business, so that takes care of the
Is
biggest
there
one
any
ever.
papers left?
Portland,
Yeah, they're outrageous.
MMA, online,
Town website?
yeah. Maybe Waterboro.
They do the blue book anymore?
What's that?
Do they do the blue book anymore?
Not really.
Is that,
It's kind of old news now.
is that like the Dodge report, King Street?
You really probably couldn't afford to put it in a dive report.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not free.
So you think
What about the courier? Is that still
the
open?
what?
The courier, the Bedford South courier? Used to be more of a,
Is that a paper?
Yeah.
What is it called?
the Bedford South courier?
It's in the orange bags you see in everybody's driveway that never gets.
That they throw away?
There is one, there's
Accumulated in a
a free one that you get in the
Smart
store.
shopper, we don't have them anymore either.
Uh,
We don't have the Wise Guide either. They're gone.
The wise guy.
So what do you recommend, Brad?
Well, I would say Portland Press Herald and probably a bit of Waterboro, I would say.
Waterboro what?
Smart shopper. they're done.
Reporter.
The reporter,
Yeah,
The
Waterboro
report.
reporter,
there's a lot of RFPs
which is
that are
where
in there right now.
the town advertises. to
Yeah,
Yeah.
town website,
Yeah, town
those three
website.
places.
The estimators for most of these companies always cruise town websites every week. I mean, I know I used to, once a week I was cruising just to see what's out there, you know, so. That would probably get the most amount of hits. And then the next thing would be, the dates. Notice how we left that blank.
Yeah.
I think it would be prudent if it could get advertised this week and be opened up at the next meeting, which would be 4th of October. That gives somebody 2.5, 3 weeks to put stuff together.
Well, you have to check with the reporter. I think they're only every
I
2
think they're by
weeks.
Thursday,
Yeah,
I think,
I
So
think
they-
it's, you have to have it in,
by tomorrow, right?
I think it's Tuesday afternoon, you have to.
Right,
hold your
for
place.
for Thursday. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would make it. if we
I've
could-
already got something printed out or designed.
Okay,
But I can email it tomorrow morning.
okay. So if October 4th works for you for the openings,
That's me. So the timeline, so.
that's fine.
You trying to get this done before the snow flies?
no, just try to get it done.
Coming my way.
So we're looking for a motion to approve the bid spec sheet and to put it out to bid.
So moved.
Second down.
Rusty seconds it. All those in favor? 4-0, thank you. This certificate of appointment for the cemetery committee, is that
We
something?
just never had it signed. It was
Just-
approved like
okay.
last month.
Oops.
Okay. Transfer station hazardous materials waste day. That was a Morris thing. Any idea, Brad?
I don't, I haven't heard about it.
Okay.
They're good to have.
It should be, we should
Should.
have one. I think he did one last year. I remember.
We can just find out from Morris.
Yeah, I asked Morrison, I thought it was gonna be here tonight, but put it on.
Pole permit for 31 Davis Road. Brad, you familiar with that?
I've seen the stakes layout where they're already gonna put it in, as usual. It's like,
Yeah, but I mean,
500 feet down the
we all set
road.
with
It's a new little barn, so,
We all set with it?
yeah.
Okay. I think that's all I had before we go into executive session.
You didn't do
Done.
the school board
The school board,
open seat that you have under.
yeah, we're not ready to deal with that yet. We have a letter to go.
This one, Donna, this one needs to be redone. Doesn't have my name on it.
It does.
It has Thomas.
Next time.
Thomas,
Bill, I have one more thing.
Go ahead, Brad.
Are we going to do 2 signs at Kennybunk Pond for hours, for opening and closing? To let people know.
What was the consensus of the discussions on that? Are we talking from dawn to dusk as
That's
the
that's
hours?
what I was thinking. I mean, I know bumming at 7 to 7, but this is a different situation down there. With we don't have fishermen going in and bumming up.
So we're saying open at dawn, close at dusk?
Yeah, because the time changes.
But I think you might want to check the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife before we lose them stocking that market. Because the state does regulate some of that.
Well, we can check with that, but I think if we go forward, they'll make up the signs and we'll check with Inland Fish and Game and see what.
My idea is if we leave a 6-inch open spot on the metal sign, we could put our own black numbers on there to make different timeframes, like in the winter for ice fishermen.
Right.
You know, we could make adjustments to that ourselves besides one that's already permanently printed.
Again, see, I say this only from knowing a lot of people that go out there and do custom, that are respectable people, that park in the parking lot,
Yeah.
lug their stuff across. I mean, I hate to see a pond.
No, I know. I mean, I know it's not gonna get unlocked at 5 AM.
No. But I think that, I mean, is the boat launch gonna stay open?
Yes.
And so there's gonna be no gate at the boat launch.
You can't,
There's no plan for a gate at the boat.
no.
You can't do that side.
But we can gate the beach.
We're in the parking lot.
Right. They need a place to park, because you can't have them parking. The other day, they were even up in Tall Pines.
The biggest thing we need to do before we do much of anything, other than regulate the hours, is we have to get it surveyed. And that's in the works, we're just not there. It's gonna be, what was that?
The first week of November is the
First week of
survey,
November.
both sides,
That-
both
that
sides as well as ours.
Tells the whole story at that point.
Right.
Then we can really move forward.
So right now, is it Dave Riley's responsibility to open and close by default?
He was assigned it years ago.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time, so.
And most of the time, if there's a car in there, he continued going home, which I don't blame.
We can blame the previous board for that.
Well, you can blame two boards. No,
Yeah, it's been for a while.
No,
But
I know Davey's done it for years.
I know. And just looking at this incident that you just talked about, I mean, obviously, does he still want to do this? So that's why I say, was it just by default? And should we be looking at somebody else that might want to be able to do it? And that would not be me.
We're gonna hire a person.
I know 2 weeks ago, Tom, there was a car that was abandoned there.
Yeah.
And it was there for 6 days.
So
And when we did the sidewalk down there, I looked in it because I asked Davey about it. He said it's been there since a week ago Thursday. So he hadn't been locking it up because the car was in there. So we called the state police, they came down, ran a bin, and the car was abandoned. So told it, get it out of there.
Yeah.
But that, when he sees a car in there,
he leaves it,
he leaves it, he doesn't lock the gate up.
and he doesn't want confrontation, and I don't blame
No,
him.
I don't blame him either.
It took 2.5 hours for a trooper to come to that, just to let you know. So
No, I know this.
calling any kind of law enforcement to take care of a problem at the beach is just, doesn't happen, because they have a lot bigger fish to
It's
fry.
not priority.
Right, it isn't, nor is speeding, setting up radar traps. I've already gone down that route for the last 2 weeks. That brings up another question on sheriff. I have been in touch with York County Sheriff's Department. They reached out to me about what it would cost us to hire an officer. The starting salary is $85,000 and could be as much as $145,000 for the officer, depending on his degree of training, plus the cost of the car.
That's
And
for
what does that give
8
us?
hours a day, 40 hours a week.
40 hours a week. Now, unfortunately, if we want to take care of the speeding issues, 40 hours a week doesn't work because we need somebody from 5:45 till, say, 8 o'clock in the morning and from 4 in the afternoon till 7 o'clock at night. So the only way to alleviate that is to have a second officer so their shifts overlap. And you're looking at 300 grand a year.
And they're not
More than hours, and they have like.
It's
They're
set
not
hours.
dedicated.
No, it's set hours.
to stay here during those 40 hours either.
Yeah, they
Well, if they get called somewhere else, they have to go, but it is primarily for the location.
yes, it would be.
And if they need help, you pay for that too.
That's correct.
If they call for backup, that's an additional charge.
No, I haven't heard that.
If they have to have another sheriff, it is. If the state police can come, they don't have to.
Because that's why Arundel really made due diligence in their last contract. Because they were getting the same thing.
Hmm?
They want. Not gonna call state, they call sheriff.
The Waterboro has a sheriff as well.
Arrowhead, yeah.
So that's where that's at. So if you want me to pursue it a little more, I will have him put together a proposal and maybe a little talk and have him come into a meeting and let us know what's going on.
Please.
So I'll continue to follow that.
Okay. I need a motion to go into executive session based on what's on our agenda.
Let's take it, read that, try that. This is rusty. Right. I make a motion to go to executive session, Title 1 MRSA, Section 4056C, reason. Real or personal property attached to real property of interest there. Oh my God, I can't read this. Therein is premature disclosure would produce.
Prejudice, competitive or bargaining position. I mean,
Yes. Exactly.
Are you coming back
Nelson,
to anything?
we done?
We are afterwards, yes. When we're done for the executive session, we will go back into
The
session.
rest of you, want these?
I think so. No, I'm all done now.
Thanks, Patty.
I came with my sunglasses.
Thank you, Brad.
Did you make your motion and vote and everything?
Hey, we need a second. on
I
that.
did.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Who seconded?
4,
I did.
They did.
yeah, 4-0 passed. I know it's hard, huh?
Oh, man.
Jeez.